Hello everyone, your editor Daryl here, starting off with a bit of context. One of the things I have the guys do during recordings is what's called room tone. It's kind of a complicated thing when it comes to audio production, but the short version is when you make a recording, you want to record a chunk of time where everyone is in the studio and in place, but they're not talking or making any noise, so you can get the ambient room tone, like hum from air conditioners and appliances and equipment and all that sort of thing. And it's to help with the editing process and to clean up the sound. So this starts right after the guys finished recording about 30 seconds of silence. And I'd also like to give you a warning that this bit gets a little not safe for work, but for the next few minutes, this is them trying very, very hard to get the podcast starting and failing for several minutes.
Okay, I should do it.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen and the Art of Podcasting.
We just sit silently. We just sit silently for an hour.
I don't think Daryl's going to like that if we do that. We should probably do some sort of podcast as we're all here.
It certainly makes Daryl's job easier.
Maybe. But it's hot as balls out here. It must be 22, 23 degrees.
Hot as balls.
Why yours not? Mine are really active, you see. It was an unfortunate accident when I was a child, which led to my super superpower and my ability to talk complete rubbish for hours on end.
And this is why we call him Testicular Man.
Testicular Man.
Is that your pet name for him?
Oh, darling.
Testy for short.
Should see him in cape.
Well, just a cape.
And a mask. Testicular Man, meet Gimp Man.
I'm beginning to get flashbacks to last week. Anyway. So.
Yeah, I don't want to do this podcast anymore. I think we've broken it. It was a noble experiment, but it's over.
It's there, Billy. Look on the bright side. It's there, Billy. No, let's do it.
Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for all our patrons.
7 of them.
And Angus was there too.
I need 2 adjectives. I don't know if you noticed, but each week I've been introducing you with 2 random adjectives that make no sense whatsoever. First week you were stealthy but nimble. I can't remember what you were last week, and now I need 2 adjectives.
You have a wine character generator that should be able to come up with something.
How about agile yet enchanting? Would you like to be agile yet enchanting?
Sure, I'll go with that.
It's better than Testicular
I'm already
Man.
agile. I thought these were supposed to be inaccurate objectives. God damn it. Come on, focus.
Okay, are we ready to start?
Let's do it. Woo.
Okay. Welcome to the Bitten Throat Warbling Podcast.
Oh, I do like it here. It's very nice. I've come all the way from Wales, especially.
Right, okay.
No offence to our Welsh listeners.
Both of them.
If we have any. If you're a Welsh listener, please let us know. Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG news. I am Russ. No, I got the name wrong. I just read it straight off my iPad.
Yes, read the name of the podcast. His own iPad, he can't get it right. I can't work with these amateurs.
Let's try again.
Let's start again, this time in slow motion.
Hello. No.
Heidi, hi.
Hi.
Howdy ho.
Alright, here we go. You ready?
No.
Anyway, we should probably hit to do some sort of podcast thing. We've got the mics, we've got the fantastic studio, we have the extremely squeaky sofa, everything that a podcast needs.
I don't think it's the sofa, Peter.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have had those beans for lunch.
$275,000.
What's that in old money?
Yes, we're only talking guineas and groats here.
Oh,
Yeah.
guineas and groats. Okay.
hot pennies.
2.4 million groats and 2 guineas.
Wow.
Good Lord. I say.
I'm still waiting to do some kind of cartoon animal thing, either Danger Mouse style or Mutant Turtle style. I'm not sure which I'd want to do most yet, but both of those things are definitely high on my list of things I want to do.
I hear what you're saying, but I would have to go Thundercats using Exalted.
Thundercats? Well, they weren't actually animals, though, were they? They were just people who kind of modelled themselves on animals. Or were they?
They were I don't know. They're kind of weird.
I thought it was
okay,
a real-
so the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were animals. I suppose they did mutate. But the Thundercats weren't. I don't know.
It's
tricky.
It's all basically very Dr. Moreau, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like all these different animals that mutated into his kind of like humanoid characteristics and abilities.
And yet we digress because it's really...
It's
really
only news.
Well, I've caught my eye.
Have long seen Glazer.
Can somebody reboot Russ? He's got a switch just by the shoulder, a little bit like Action Man.
What we need now is the... I was going to say Windows 7, but let's face it, it's going to be Windows 95 style of music.
Probably.
Amazing set of books. Written by 2 people, do you know?
I do. 2 people who share one pen name.
It's unusual, but I like it.
Apparently they share everything,
Oh, really?
including their underpants.
I imagine that makes writing a intriguing process.
Difficult, but
You should probably stop slandering random people across the pond. They might turn out to be litigious in some fashion.
I'm sure they're very, very lovely people.
What's the second bit?
The second bit of news, okay? The second bit of news is quite exciting, or it's not exciting, depending on whether or not you find it exciting.
Like any news.
Well, consider my expectations managed.
You're either going to enjoy this next bit, or you're not.
Yeah, one of those 2 things is true. And so, I think we've discovered basically the way to conduct this podcast in future. Just state the 2 opposite options for everything and we're always right. Sort of like Christmas time.
Well, traditionally you got, Thanksgiving, I think, then November.
Yeah, I'm not totally up to date with when all the American holidays are, but I think Thanksgiving's very late in the year, isn't it?
Thanksgiving is pretty much the last weekend of November or first weekend of December.
Because Thanksgiving's the day they have Christmas dinner, isn't it?
They have turkey the same as we do at Christmas. But yes, they have turkey.
So turkey is Christmas
as well,
dinner, and they have it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And actually, Thanksgiving is almost as important, if not more important, than Christmas for a lot of Americans. Because certainly when I was at school over in America, Thanksgiving was absolutely
Is that where you've
massive.
developed your strong American accent?
Yes, because as you can tell, I have a very, very strong American accent these days.
I thought I detected the...
To be fair, if I go over to America and spend any time with Americans, I do start lapsing very easily.
We're talking about the accent still, are we?
Yes.
Ooh, I should do that. First, Russ, in all this excitement, you haven't told us the news. Sort of I would say arts and crafts style to it, with like a much reduced colour palette and a lot more, I suppose, almost iconicized. So it's like less pictures of heroes fighting things and more. I don't know, what is that? Oh, goodness. It's a grumpy looking man in a helmet.
Yes.
I was thinking it was some sort of dragon, and then suddenly...
You're talking about Angus again.
Yeah, I thought they were a bit more cautious about that sort of thing after the problems with the early 80s. Where you could just buy D&D everything. Lunchboxes, frisbees, lunch bags.
Role-playing games.
Role-playing games?
No.
Great thought.
Silly idea.
No, but they just have like a lot of D&D branded merchandise out there.
There's a lot of D&D branded merchandise out there at the moment. You can buy bed covers and loads of stuff. Skateboards.
I see.
So there's a lot of, D&D has always been a branding, licensing branding machine.
Excellent. Right. Okay. Any other news?
I think we've covered all the news.
All of it's marvellous. Our work here's done. Now we need never cover the news again.
All the news forever.
Oh, that's not how it works, is it? Ah, yes, we have such catchy titles on Morris's unofficial RPG tabletop. No, that's not. Moving swiftly on.
Quick Starter. Harder they fall.
Is Quickstarter part of the name, or is it Kickstarter?
Quickstarter is part of the name. Basically, a number of campaigns have started calling themselves Quickstarter because they have a very short run, so it might only be available for like 7 to 10 days.
With you. So, if you're hearing this on a freshly downloaded podcast, you best go have a look if the following interests you.
Yes, this campaign ends on Tuesday the 24th of July,
Which is yesterday when you hear this, unfortunately.
yes, but it's tomorrow for us.
I'm a time traveller!
So yeah, what do you think
calm down,
Kickstarter was?
What it is, I'm sure it's funded successfully. Yeah. The harder they fall, well, the bigger they come. So I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm just feeling good about maybe some sort of cyberpunk. I don't know why. It's like, because if it was D&D, it'd be something about slaying giants and so forth, and a book about giants, stabbing them, source book. Yeah. But I'm thinking, you know what, I'd like cyberpunk. I'd like it to be about cyberpunk, taking down big corporations and, I don't know, trolls in jumpsuits.
This is an interesting one. This is not. It is. I can tell you straight up, it's not that.
Oh.
I'll tell you the two things this features. Where do I just tell you the two things this features? And you can try
Could we see if Peter can get bonus points if he knows the system mechanic for this?
That's where I was just going with that. But yeah, okay, you can try and guess it.
Yeah.
Does it involve a Jenga tower?
It does not involve a Jenga tower, but you're not.
That's very close. Very, very close. Because, of course, Dread involved a Jenga tower, and it is that sort of aspect that we're looking at.
Yeah. So this is a game. It's about toppling titans,
Okay.
and you play it using dominoes.
What? Get out of here.
It's true.
Right.
Says it right here.
So, like, you have a titan or something, you try and knock it over?
Well, I don't know the exact mechanics, but the game mechanic is a domino-based game mechanic. This is sort of a storytelling game. It says it's a storytelling game of earth-shaking combat and toppling titans played using dominoes.
Well, that sounds very
It does have a very, very brief kind of... do you want to hear this? It's a very brief sort of summary of how the dominoes are used. So I'm just reading this for the first time, so bear with me. So on your turn, you have a choice. You can raise the stakes by drawing a domino and placing it on the battlefield. Depending on its value and where you place it, then you ask your foes a question. How does your advance terrify them? How does your burgeoning power sear the battlefield? How do your doubts give you pause? Or you can knock them down by toppling your chain of dominoes. The more you knock over, the more damage you do to your foes. And if you can knock over some of your allies' dominoes in a team-up attack, or knock over your foe's chain and send them flying, that's even better. Once all the dominoes are fallen, you pick one to start your new chain and let the battle continue. So, it's the physical act of knocking over dominoes is the game mechanic.
Right.
And the number of dominoes you manage to knock over
is
essentially how much damage you do to your foes. That's sort of the mechanic.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a storytelling game. We can do this.
Hiraeth Module. Hiraeth. Hiraeth Module.
Okay, that's it. So, possibly not as good a name as the last one, unless you know what a Hiraeth is. I'm going to say it's an expansion for an existing world, and it's about a place called Hiraeth.
Hiraeth is a continent about a third of the size of Australia and the first entry in a series of books that will detail the world of Sonder, a new systemless setting that can be used for any game.
Oh, Sonder. Yeah, I've seen those people doing stuff at conventions, yeah. Oh, okay. And they're doing a Kickstarter, so they bring it out. So it's a systemless setting.
Yeah.
So you don't make up your own stuff, you can just apply your own stats to it. Oh, okay.
It reminds me a little bit of Han, if you've ever seen Han, which is an old classic setting that started coming out in the 80s from Columbia Games, which is still available now. And theirs was a system, they detailed all the different countries and towns and regions, and you could just pick it up and just slot it into your own game setting.
Interesting. This Kickstarter has 5 days left to go. It had a very, very low goal, and it's not even halfway there yet. So it doesn't look likely this one's gonna succeed. Unfortunately,
That's unfortunate.
this is in pounds here. £1,447, and they've got 687 so far. But that's converted from Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars, it was a $2,500 goal, and they've got 1,186 so far.
Yeah, so I suppose it's part of the problem is they're not, as far as I know, building off an existing intellectual property. They're trying to build it up from scratch?
I think there's probably a number of bits and pieces that could have helped them. I don't think they've really done any, publicity, or I've certainly not seen any publicity and advertising for it. Also, they haven't really supplied a lot of information or interior artwork or anything on the page. I think the map is pretty much the only image on their campaign page, so they don't really. And also, it's a very, very ambitious project for for a brand new company. Yeah, so first part in a whole series that they want to develop the entire world set and everything else, which is very
laudable.
Very laudable. But as a first project, could be very, very tricky, especially if you haven't got a little bit more to show. And it sounds like they've done a lot of work, because reading through a campaign, but. See, that could also go the other way, because they've done, it sounds like something that almost every single little bit has gone into detail, and it might be overly detailed for
bit
some
prescriptive.
people.
Yeah, no, I certainly find it an odd idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but if I run homebrew, I will make up my own stuff.
Yeah, but you see, something like Harm did it incredibly well and still sells very well through digital on Dryfer and stuff like that. So those generic world, or not necessarily generic, but systemless worlds, neutral worlds, can be very popular. But it swings around about. So I don't think this has got, unfortunately, the personnel or the company that have managed to.
I think you also need a fairly big fan base as well to get that stuff going. To get your grassroots,
which is fairly true for pretty much every Kickstarter. You need to have that sort of that base level of following that will back it, because if you get a certain number of backers, then it just starts rolling from there.
I think what we should do at some point is make a podcast just about Kickstarters in general, not about specific Kickstarters, but about the sort of about the concept of Kickstarter, how people run Kickstarters, some of the sort of tips and tricks, because I've run quite a few. I've done over £250,000 in Kickstarters, actually.
Nice.
And you've done a couple as well, haven't you, Angus? And of course you report on them constantly. So I think, we've got possibly some interesting sort of insights or thoughts.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, useful, interesting or competent, but, they are our thoughts, and we're happy to share them with the world. So, why don't we do an episode on Kickstarters at some point? Just from the sort of behind the scenes point of view, rather than
rather than this is what's available.
Sounds fantastic.
I think that could be fun. I don't know how many people will listen to it, but well, we'll find out, I guess.
I'm sure they'll love it. It will be great.
It would also be really useful because we might be able to afford a fan, in which case we don't actually have to sit here with everyone naked to keep cool.
You'd think it would be quite hard to podcast whilst blindfolded. And yet, we manage.
Oh, I never thought.
We now have a 5-minute dream break, Boris. So his eyes go, oh God, the horror, the horror.
If you don't back the Patreon, we'll start posting photos.
Some people pay money to keep their pictures off the internet. You can pay us money to keep our pictures from the internet.
I'd like to say that I'm not part of this. I don't believe we weighed books live on air to work on the page count.
Well, if Watsy don't give us the information, we've got to find it somehow.
It's scientific.
Yeah,
it counts.
96-page hardback.
Yeah. Oh, here comes Peter. See if he can get in here without being Django. I suspect not.
Great workout there, great workout. Are we still recording?
So you've managed to pass the beast of the gateway. You are now here amongst the heroes of legend to hear the competition result.
Okay, and the prize is
a photo of all of us through the podcast.
Fully clothed, fully clothed.
Think of a prize we can send. I've got it. What's the first Zeitgeist adventure called?
Sorry? Zeitgeist?
Yeah. Oh. I do know. I've just had a mind blank.
War for Burning Effigy? No.
What did you say?
War for Burning Effigy, but that's thinking nothing is called that.
What are you talking about?
That's all for this week. Thank you to our Patreon backers at patreon.com/Morris. Until next week.